What is going on, guys? Whoa. Okay. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Sorry, there was some weird lag that happened right there. This is my review for episode 7 of The Mandalorian, The Reckoning. Now, it has been a few days for sure. This episode started streaming on Wednesday. I've been so busy with churning out Star Wars content and trying to get through the Star Wars films. I was able to do that. So I kind of put this off until yesterday, technically, but I decided because I had been putting up so much content that I just kind of needed a day to relax, and we were also kind of busy because I've been putting up a video every single day for like the last week. So I decided not to not put up the review until today. So yeah, this is going to be my review for episode 7, The Reckoning. And if you're watching this, you can give your thoughts right over there on the side. Join the chat and let's talk. Let's talk Mandalorian. Let's talk Star Wars. I'm going to save my episode 9 spoiler review video until tomorrow. So I will be doing a live stream then. So I've kind of pushed everything back an extra day just because of how busy I've been and how kind of crazy life has been throwing things at me. So anyway, let's talk about this episode of The Mandalorian. This, to me, is the best episode of The Mandalorian. And what I love about it is that my 2 favorite episodes of this entire show thus far have been episodes directed by Deborah Cho. She is absolutely incredible, and she is not just directing 1 or 2 episodes of the Obi-Wan series. She's directing every single episode, which means that I have faith. I have faith in what she can do. I think Lucasfilm and Disney has found someone who obviously has a great vision, obviously knows how to tell a great story, and gets the most out of the actors and the shots that are composed. And so I really am looking forward more and more to the Obi-Wan series. I really like Deborah Cho, and I think she's definitely someone who needs to stick around in the Star Wars and play a little bit more in the Star Wars universe, because we can never have enough great directors and great filmmakers making Star Wars films. And, regardless of gender, that doesn't matter at all. I bring that up because there's going to be idiots out there who are like, oh, she's a woman, because people are stupid. But guys, she has made the 2 best episodes of The Mandalorian. Episode 3 was amazing, The Sin, and then now episode 7, The Reckoning, which I think is the best episode. I think it's even better than episode 3. And the biggest reason is because this episode has given me anxiety. I really have been thinking about this ever since Wednesday when I first watched the episode. I am very scared. I have no idea what they're going to do. All I know is that the conclusion to this first season, I think, is going to be epic. I think it's going to be bold and big, and Taika Waititi is directing the season finale, so I'm looking forward to that. But honestly, this episode has given me anxiety because the characters thus far, leading up to this episode, have always been safe. We've always been well adjusted to the fact that there aren't really like high stakes in this show. This episode shows no, there's stakes, and there are big, dire consequences out there for our characters if they make one wrong move. And I love the characters. I love that we get so attached, especially to Baby Yoda. We're so protective. And this episode really makes us so protective, and kind of the way that this episode ends, you're just like, no, like it crushes your spirit. But I am really loving what we're getting with this show, and the way that this show is able to kind of keep us interested, keep us invested. There's been one episode that I really haven't liked, but other than that, this show is incredible. It's been so fun to watch. And it's also very sad that we only have 1 episode left until the season ends. Let me break down the things that I really liked about this episode. I like the fact that it feels like we're moving forward. We're not just kind of at a stalemate, or we're not just kind of slowly kind of just moving from place to place to place to place. This time around, it feels like the story with the characters are moving forward in a direction that is leading us towards something else, as opposed to kind of what we've been used to. And so I really like the fact that this episode really keeps us on the track, helps us remember, okay, we are in a show where there is one through line, there is one cohesive story that we need to kind of adjust to or remember that this is where we are in the context of this show and in the setting. And I really like that this episode really did that. I'll say this about Deborah Cho. She is able to craft atmosphere so well, especially a Western atmosphere. To me, this episode felt more Western than any of the other episodes. And it is a Western television show. But this one, to me, the way that the atmosphere works, the way it makes you feel as you're kind of with these characters, the way that characters are showing emotion through body language, the way that these characters kind of have to come together and figure out how they're going to continue to change the plan when certain things don't go the way that they had hoped. And so this episode to me felt more like a Western because, again, it adds a lot more tension. There's a lot more stakes at the end of this episode, which really helps us magnify the fact that this show truly knows how to capture its audience. It truly knows exactly what it's going for. And Deborah Cho, she is absolutely incredible. I think Deborah Cho is showing everyone, showing Lucasfilm that, look, I can make Star Wars content that is greatly satisfactory, and not only satisfactory, but greatly and immensely impressionable to the point where audiences love it. And you feel the emotion, you feel everything that's on display that these characters are putting out there. And I just really love this episode. I think it's the best one yet because of the way that Deborah Cho was able to anchor this episode around the setting, around the context of where we are with this story and how it feels like a regular episodic television program should be. Talking with someone about this episode, he brought up something kind of interesting. He had told me, he said, this felt like it should have been like the season finale. And I have to say, I kind of agree. It feels like, a lot of shows, because they like having those cliffhanger moments, whether we're talking about The Walking Dead season, I think it's 6 or 5, I can't remember at this point. I don't even watch The Walking Dead anymore, but where you have that cliffhanger of who Negan's going to kill, it sits with you. And then you have to wait like 5, 6, 7 months until the next set of episodes to find out what actually happens. At least with this show, we have one more episode, but it still feels like Friday can't come soon enough. We want that assurity. We want to know that everything is okay, that everything is fine, that our heroes are going to succeed and win. And that, to me, feels something different in this show than any of the other episodes. And that's why I love this episode more, is because it's making me yearn more for next week's episode, making me feel the weight of 9 days, whatever it is. I think it's 8 or 9 days of having to wait to see where our heroes end up, what is going to happen, and how is this all going to conclude. And that, to me, is awesome. I think it's cooler that we only have to wait 8 days as opposed to, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, whatever it is. So to me, that's a little bit different, but it's still that anxiety is there, still that impression is left with you in your head. And so you're kind of left feeling, well, dang, okay, what's going to happen? And I love that feeling. I really do. And if you're someone who loves television, this is why you watch television, for the intrigue, that the story builds upon itself constantly. We're not just doing the same thing. It's not just Arrow, where we know every single time with the formula, the way it's going to set up is Arrow, Oliver is going to succeed. Everything's going to be fine. And nothing is really ever drastically going to change. With this show, we don't know, because it has really been a little slow. It makes us feel a little bit impatient. But when it finally lifts, unveils the curtain a little bit more and shows us a little bit more, we're kind of like, take us back to when everything was just okay, when everything was just fine and we didn't have to worry or grieve for these characters. And that's honestly how I feel, and I love it. I think that's amazing. That's so cool that a show like this is captivating and doing what it's supposed to do. Jon Favreau, the dude knows how to not only be a fan of something, but really show his immense love towards the fandom and the way that he feels a story should be told. He's doing such a good job of being the showrunner. And not just this episode, but every episode prior to this. I was not a big fan of episode 4. You guys know that. Or no, episode 5, sorry. You guys know that I was not a big fan of that episode. You know, I had a whole Facebook group attack me for that episode because of my opinions weren't the everything is amazing in Star Wars opinion. But even that episode, like, I just have loved what they've been able to do with this show, and it's really subverted my expectations. And I did not expect the show to be this incredible and this kind of this deep as it has been. Because Star Wars to me has always been something that's fun, and it's just the experience is so cool and unique. But there's always that lore, that story that keeps you connected to, you know, whether it be the new films or whether it be the television shows that keep you wanting to watch, because you just fall in love with this idea of the Force, with this idea of kind of battle in space. And one of the biggest problems, and again, my episode 9 spoiler review is going to be tomorrow. I don't want to give anything. I'm not going to talk any spoilers for that movie, but you can go and watch my review of my episode 9 Star Wars review. And that movie, honestly, if you don't know this already, if you did not watch the review, guess what? That movie disappointed me. I was not a fan of the Rise of Skywalker. I just wasn't. I understand a lot of people are going to like it. I hope you do. But to me, the reason why I don't like that movie and why it's highly disappointing. Now, I've seen the movie 3 times, so it's Star Wars. Even if it was a Jar Jar Binks movie, I'd see it like 5 times in theaters. But I've seen the movie 3 times, and it does not work for me. They mess with the lore. They mess with the intention of what Star Wars is supposed to be, and not. And they basically, it's almost like a fan film. Like anything that people said in Reddit just kind of magically just came true. And it to me, that's not Star Wars. Star Wars is deeper than that. It's deeper than nostalgia. It's deeper than fan service. And this is a show that is showing just how much it appreciates Star Wars fandom, and it's giving us something new and refreshing. So I don't want to beat the dead horse with that. Let's get back to this episode. Anyway, this is the best episode of this show. I'm not going to say it's the best episode of television this year. I have seen better, whether it be Watchmen, whether it be something else, but I really do like how they bring these characters back, whether it's Quill, who I have spoken is my new favorite line of dialogue in anything this year. Whether it's him, whether you have Gina Carano's character, whether you have, you know, Mando, obviously you have Carl Weathers' character, you know, Werner Herzog is back in this episode. And then we get Giancarlo Esposito's character, who now we know is kind of the big bad in this show, which I like that reveal, because I never felt like Werner Herzog's character was really that intimidating. Like, Werner Herzog has an intimidating voice. He has an intimidating kind of persona, but he was never, his character kind of just felt like he was always being pulled by someone else. There was always someone over him. And now we get to meet that character, and he means business. He really comes to town and just really shows that he's a force to be reckoned with, and that he's going to get what he seeks out to get. And so I love that we get all of the band of heroes that we've come to love in the first couple of episodes back again in this episode. Again, moving forward, we're progressing the story. It feels like it's actually going somewhere, as opposed to a side quest in D&D. I don't have a problem with that, but I like when my story kind of moves forward, and we take what we know already and we push that out into a deeper understanding, a deeper commitment, as opposed to what we've been getting, where it's kind of just like, okay, now understand this, now new knowledge of this, now understand this, let's go to this place. And so it's really nice to kind of feel like we're settled in and settled down a little bit, as opposed to kind of just constantly moving back and forth. So that's really nice. There wasn't anything that I didn't like about this episode, to be honest with you. I felt like the episode went by at a very nice pace. It didn't go by too fast, didn't go by too slow. It felt like it really kind of, it felt evenly paced. It felt evenly balanced, to the point where when the episode was over, I wasn't like, oh, that was it, or oh, that took forever. No, I was like, makes sense. Totally makes sense. And that's what I like. This is what I like about the show too, is that the show is not trying to set its own boundaries of how long each episode should be. Every episode has been different based upon the final edit and the final product of the episode. What fits, what doesn't fit. And I love that. Finally, TV, they're finally understanding that people that watch television, we don't want the filler stuff. We don't want empty, hollow things. We want the details, we want the important information, and let's just move forward. We don't need, every small detail to connect somehow and kind of making it bigger and bolder, and it has to be 59 minutes or 55 minutes. No, every episode of this show, whether it be 38 minutes, whether it be 40 minutes, whether it be 43 minutes, it has completed its runtime at a great pace. And so they really do know how to set up and establish a really good pace to each one of their episodes. So I really like that. I like this episode. I think the pacing of this worked better for me. I think it just felt whole. It felt like this episode really, when the credits came on and we got the beautiful artwork as we usually do of the different scenes of this episode, I remember thinking to myself, like, yeah, that was exactly what you should have showed us. Exactly that. Nothing more, nothing less. And they did a really good job with that. And that's also the editing team. The editing team has done a great job with this show. Now, I knew going into this episode, I know kind of, that saying, if it seems too good to be true, it usually is. And this episode really kind of defines that, because Mando gets, obviously a call from Carl Weathers' character, who's like, hey, you know what? We need to take out this imperial guy who has kind of taken over the town now, the guy who's after the asset, and we need to take him out because I don't like him here. I don't like him running my town. I knew that he was setting up Mando. It's pretty obvious, and I'm sure all of you guys knew too. But at the same time, the deal that Mando had kind of initiated and kind of heard from this guy, it just seemed too good to be true, and it turned out to be. And Mando, one thing we do know is that he does not trust people. He is a very good judge of character. He understands this world. He understands the greed of people, and so he knows exactly what he's getting himself into. Sometimes maybe he's a little bit too trusting of other of people, but there's been a good sense of him being able to understand what people are actually after. And in this case, Mando decides to go. He decides to get people that he actually feels like he can build a team around, people that he can trust. And so we really have our heavy players in this episode, which is Mando, Gina Carano's character, and Quill, I've spoken. And one of the moments to me in this episode that I felt was a very good moment, and it was brief, but it really impacted the narrative moving forward and kind of the way the characters view this character, is the scene where Mando and Gina Carano's character are having an arm wrestling match, and Baby Yoda comes and, well, doesn't come, but Baby Yoda gets angry, doesn't understand that they're just playing, and so he force chokes Gina Carano's character. And that was something you could tell by the face that Baby Yoda was making, that he was angry. So it shows that he has that trust in Mando. He wants to protect Mando. And Mando understands that. The characters understand that, even though Gina Carano's character is obviously upset. But they're understanding that there is something about Baby Yoda that makes him so special and makes him so different, that they need him, because they cannot let anybody harm this child. And like I said, I've said that before, like, people have asked the question, like, well, why is Mando, protecting this child? Like, what does he want with his child? And a lot of the answer has been, well, because, he was a foundling, so he doesn't want Baby Yoda to be a foundling. But I also think a big reason is because of the fact that Mando is so giving, and he understands that there's something special about this child that people will use to their advantage, and they can do really evil things with the power that Baby Yoda possesses. So it's something that I think is maybe glossed over a little bit in this episode is that moment, but it kind of gives us a unique perspective on where these characters view Baby Yoda. How does he kind of play a part into all of their stories? And how is it that they are going to go about protecting this child at all costs? Because that's really what it comes down to, is that they need to do whatever it takes in order to protect the child and really have the tide turn their way as opposed to the opposite way. So again, I really like that moment. It's very brief, but it's so impactful and powerful because it shows just how important this character is to the other characters surrounding it. So that's a really awesome moment. I think when you get back to Navarro, I think there's some really cool shots, some really interesting things happen, especially the night scene where they're all sitting around by the campfire eating, and Carl Weathers' character gets attacked by these dragon-like creatures, which it was pretty cool. It reminded me of Game of Thrones, honestly. And then you see Baby Yoda heal him, which that to me was a very powerful moment too, because like this child is so giving, and it's so and this child is just trying to help people. It's not trying to harm people. It's not picking a side. Like, this is something that's so important because it's showing that this character, even though it's a child, and you may say, oh, well, children don't know anything. This child, like, he trusts Mando. He doesn't trust everyone, but he knows that Mando's friend, even though it wasn't his friend, is in trouble. So he's got to help because, he cares for Mando so much. And not only that, but he's also very giving, and he wants to show that, he has this power to help people. And I think that's such a powerful thing. Again, I just really love what the stuff that they do with Baby Yoda. It really adds more layers to his character. I think it adds more depth to the characters surrounding Baby Yoda because they can kind of start seeing how important this character is and how integral this character is in protecting and making sure that there's a safety net around this character. So that way characters like Giancarlo Esposito's character, Werner Herzog's character, don't kind of use this power or manipulate this power for their own well-being. So it's something that is just very interesting to me. Those are small moments in this episode that I really, really loved. Probably the most is those small moments that we have with Baby Yoda using the Force and really showing how powerful he is to the other characters around him. I like all the stuff that we get when they're inside the bar or the cantina, with the client. And one of the most interesting things about this scene is that it almost feels a lot like the scene with Greedo and Han Solo. I don't know if it was just me, but it really kind of reminisced to that. I mean, there's more characters involved. There's more stormtroopers. There's more people around, but this scene felt so much like a representation of that scene. And I don't know if maybe that's what they were trying to go for essentially, or if that was something that maybe it was just kind of coincidental, but it really to me felt like they were taking something like a small nostalgic thing from fans and kind of implementing in such a small and menial way that it doesn't kind of overlap the entire story or kind of make it feel out of place. It really works extremely well. And obviously there's different consequences, there's different things that happen. And then we find out, obviously that Giancarlo Esposito's character is basically hijacking communication signals on the planet, which means that he can hear everything that's going on. And so the communication between Quill and the Mandalorian gets out there. Stormtroopers come and take down Quill and take Baby Yoda to end the episode. And when that moment happened, my mouth was just open. I was floored, not only because Baby Yoda is in harm's way, but because this character Quill, who I have come to love so much, is gone. He's dead, and that sucks. That sucks. I want to hear him say "I've spoken" one more time, but we won't get that. But I love this episode. I think the acting in this episode, from Gina Carano's standpoint, was a lot better than when we saw her in episode 4. I also thought the different layers of the characters and kind of their relationships with one another has grown exponentially. I think Mando is more layered as well and more trusting, and we're seeing him open up a little bit more. And so there's all these things that are really working extremely well in this episode. And when you have something like that, it really makes this episode more enjoyable, even though it does give you anxiety at the end, and it gives you the most sense of tension that we've had in the show so far. But there's a great way that they're going about doing all of this stuff, and it just feels absolutely fleshed out. It feels real, and it keeps you connected and bonded to these characters and their experiences. So that's my review, guys. Honestly, this is the best episode of The Mandalorian thus far, and I am sad that we only have one episode left, but I will say this. With understanding how good they've been about crafting every episode and knowing exactly how long and how fixated each episode should be, I think 8 episodes, if they can give us something great next week, which I really think they will, I think it's going to show exactly how good this story has been from the first season. And so 8 episodes doesn't feel like a long time, especially when they first announced it. I was like, that's it? But I think it's going to be perfect. I think it's going to be the perfect amount of time, and we're going to get some resolution and possibly some future conflict or some maybe cliffhanger type of thing could happen after season 1. I don't know. We'll see. And they're already in production on season 2, so we know that that's coming as well around the corner. So let me get to your guys' comments. By the way, excuse my voice. I hope I'm not coming down with anything, but probably doesn't sound the best right now. I've been talking for like 27 minutes straight. True Horror Fanatic, what's going on, man? Very interesting episode. The cliffhanger has me interested to see what's going to happen. When is the final episode? It's Friday. It comes out Friday, the 27th. So enjoy your Christmas. Don't worry about having an episode of The Mandalorian dropping on Christmas Day. Enjoy your Christmas with your family. Spend time playing with your gifts or whatever you get. Friday morning is when the season finale of The Mandalorian drops. And it was a very interesting episode, and I did really like the cliffhanger. Again, it leaves you with anxiety, and it does exactly what it needs to do. It keeps you fixated on this show, so that way next week you immediately wake up and watch the next episode of The Mandalorian, because that you have to at this point. Your mind is just like, what is happening? What's going to happen? I don't know if I can even process or if I can sleep for the next week, but enjoy your holiday. And then Thursday, probably around Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, you could probably start worrying a little bit about what's going to happen with these characters. Mead, how's it going, Mead? The guild leader has a similar experience to the Mandalorian in that the child saves them both, and then they feel that they cannot betray helpless baby Yoda. That's a really good point, Mead. That's a great point that I actually kind of like. I'd be lying if I told you that I thought about that, because I hadn't. But it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's something that, again, I agree with you on that point. And it is very hard. How can you betray something so innocent and something so not just innocent and something so open and good, but something so cute? I mean, come on. Don't you just love that cute face? I know I do. I do not understand the Emperor's plan in episode 9. We'll get in. True Horror Fanatic, let's get into that tomorrow. I don't want to make this episode 9 spoiler review. We'll talk about that tomorrow, because I don't know if some people haven't seen the newest movie yet. I don't want to ruin their experience. So come back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think around 11 o'clock, I'm planning on doing my live open spoiler review for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. And we'll talk about that point. Well, I'll also get into the points of why I don't like the movie or why the movie doesn't work for me. So yeah, come back with that tomorrow, and we'll talk about that. Did you feel like the final confrontation, episode 9, was hilarious? Yeah, again, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I couldn't help but laugh at how stupid the confrontation was. Yeah, so the rest of that is for episode 9, which again I'll talk about tomorrow at 11 a.m. So 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or no, I'm sorry, Mountain Standard Time. 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and like 1 p.m. on the East Coast. I want to get in. I'll be talking about episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, live open spoiler discussion. And it's gonna be big. I'm really looking forward to it. I've seen the movie 3 times, so I know more the third time than I did the second time, and more the second time I did the first time. But ultimately, I really, again, if I ever enjoy something or don't enjoy something, I'm not saying that I want you to feel the exact same way I did. I want you to have your own experience with it. If you're the type of person who went and saw Rise of Skywalker and you loved it and you think it's the best Star Wars movie ever, that's great. That's amazing. That's awesome. I'm happy you really enjoyed it. If you're the type of person that was like me, let down, disappointed by what they did in Rise of Skywalker, then that's okay too. I just want you to have your own opinion. I will never force my opinion on anybody. Like I think this is the best episode of The Mandalorian. Other people can disagree with me, and that's totally fine. That's the subjectivity of film and entertainment, is that we all have our own opinions, and no one opinion is more valuable or more important than another opinion. So let's just keep that in mind, because I feel like sometimes when certain people watch my videos, people don't understand that it's just my opinion. Like it's not my, I don't know. It's not like my opinion is truth. So let's kind of get that out there, because I did post on Twitter my kind of initial thoughts of the film of Rise of Skywalker, and somebody messaged on Twitter saying, "Oh, I thought it was great, and you're just using bias or something." It's like, well, dude, I mean, that's an opinion. You thought it was great. It didn't work for me. That's okay. I'm not, and that's another thing too. Don't ever get frustrated by a TV show or a movie, because there's so many movies out there that are so great, and there's so many TV shows that are so great that even if something doesn't work for you, you don't need to try to justify why it doesn't, and you don't need to try to make it so that way it does work for you. Just enjoy the things that you enjoy. Like, I didn't really like the sequel trilogy all that much. Episode 7, I think, is still the best. Last Jedi I liked more than Rise of Skywalker, but there's a lot of issues with it. And Rise of Skywalker, I was disappointed by it. But I'm not upset. I'm not crying myself to sleep at night knowing the fact that I didn't like the movie. I still have Empire Strikes Back. I still have A New Hope. I still have, Return of the Jedi. I still have Revenge of the Sith, which I really enjoy. I still have Rogue One. I still have The Mandalorian. So that's ultimately the thing that we have to understand, guys, is if something doesn't work for you, think about things that do work for you, and just kind of remember, well, at least I have this. You know what I mean? At least, this movie is going to end up as my most disappointing film of 2019, and that's fine, because I've had Joker, fantastic movie, best movie of the year in my opinion. Jojo Rabbit was amazing. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was fantastic. Irishman was amazing. So that's the thing that we have to remember, is that everything is subjective, and just enjoy what you enjoy. If you enjoy movies if you enjoy Cats, then enjoy Cats. Don't care what the critics think. Who cares? You be you. Do it. Watch what you want to watch. Like what you like. Everyone has their own acquired taste, and you know what? That's fine. Some people don't even like Star Wars, and those people are crazy if you ask me. But hey, whatever. It's fine. It's all good. We're all friends here. So yeah, that's my little soapbox moment, I guess. The finale might be another cliffhanger. I hope they don't do that. Yeah, it could be. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, though. I think that this was the episode that is kind of leaving you kind of strapped to a rope, I guess, for an idiom, I guess. I can't believe I just said idiom on one of my videos. As an example, but next week's episode, they could do that, and we'll have to see how it works, True Horror Fanatic. I mean, maybe they do it and it actually works. Maybe they do it and it doesn't work. It's really just kind of depending on next week's episode. I mean, it's dependent on when we watch it, if it works for us or if it doesn't work for us. I think that right now, I don't know I have no idea what they're going to do. I don't think that they're going to go on a cliffhanger. I think there's going to be some type of resolution, and maybe the characters can be in peace for a while until season 2. But we'll see. I mean, if they do, maybe they'll do that, and it doesn't work. It's not executed well. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. Because again, I don't want to keep bringing up Rise of Skywalker, but my big issue I have with Rise of Skywalker, and I said this on Twitter. I said, look, they introduced cool things in this movie. I'm holding my Switch thing just because I like grabbing onto things. I said, look, they introduced a lot of cool things in the film, but they're poorly executed. They just don't work, and they're cool, yeah, but they're not functional. They just don't compute, and that's what they could do with this last episode, or it could just be amazing and it could work. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's very possible that they do that. You think they might make Yoda grow into a teenager and be a whiny brat? That will be weird to watch. Yeah, kind of like Groot. I don't think so. They would have to have a huge time jump to do that, because let's remember that Yoda, when he died, I think he was over 600 years old. So he was old, and creatures age differently. And Yoda, the creature that is Yoda, they age very slowly. So if that was the case, then I don't think we wouldn't have Mando. I don't think he would still be alive. It wouldn't make sense that he was alive. So I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that maybe the oldest that they'll go with Baby Yoda is like a toddler, but that's still kind of stretching it, because that would take probably another 30 years almost. I think that they're going to keep Baby Yoda where he is. And honestly, at this point in time, with how marketable that character is, do you really see them going away from that age range for that character? No, they couldn't. They can't. It just wouldn't be marketable anymore. I mean, when you had Baby Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, those toys and that merchandise sold more than older Groot, sold more than teenage Groot, because society loves babies. We love those cute things, those cute little things that we call babies. I don't know why I call them little things, but we love cute things, and Baby Yoda's one of them. And I'm gonna get a Baby Yoda Funko Pop, man. Like that's what I want. I want one so dang bad, just because it's Baby Yoda. I could get a regular Yoda, but I just want Baby Yoda. Okay, I want Baby Yoda everything because he's dang cute. And so it's so marketable, and they're going to make so much money on the merchandising rights. Like, they can't do that. There's no way that they'll do that. I see it. Teenage Yoda, step right up. I mean, dude, I don't see it, but hey, crazier things have happened, right? I mean, crazier things have happened. Just look at Rise of Skywalker. I got to stop throwing shade at that movie, because it's not even my review for that movie. I don't want to make it about that movie, but it's definitely the kind of the easiest thing to pull from right now, and the easiest thing to kind of pick on. But yeah, I don't see that happening. Baby Yoda is just way too marketable. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for my review. I wanted to wrap it up a little early. We do have some things that we have to go get done. Anyway, thank you guys. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching my videos and participating on the live streams. We don't get a ton of people sometimes, and sometimes we get multiple people. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I'm just a fan talking about something that I love. I'm not a critic. I'm not a pundit. I'm just literally a fan of TV, a fan of Star Wars, a fan of movies. And so to me, it means so much that people actually care to watch my videos, because I don't understand how or why. And if you're watching later on, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. Make sure you guys drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content just like this, because next week we will be talking about the finale, and I'm really excited about that. I will be in California over the next 2 weeks. So my video quality, it might not be great for certain videos. It's going to kind of look like this, how it is now. So I apologize, but I do have, let me go over a quick little, let me just quickly go over my schedule for the next few days up until Christmas. So tonight I will have my review for Bombshell up, which I did go see yesterday. tomorrow I will have my live open spoiler discussion on Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, where we can get into the meat of spoilers. So if you have not watched Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, do not come and watch my video tomorrow where I talk about the movie, because you will be spoiled, and sorry. But I'm warning you, if you have watched it, definitely come and come and join the discussion that we're going to have tomorrow. It'll be a lot of fun, and then and talk about why you like it, why you don't like it, whatever, however you feel about it. Tuesday, I am going to have my Star Wars ranking. I'm going to be ranking all 11 Star Wars films, and so that's going to be a lot of fun. I've been working on that slowly, and then Wednesday on Christmas, I'm not going to have like a new video. I am going to have a video that I shot a few days ago, and it's going to be a special unboxing video. I don't do unboxing videos, but it's going to be something easy and quick and kind of something out there. So yeah, and then after that, next weekend I'll go see new releases and stuff. We'll figure it out. I got to start working on my list for best of the year, worst of the year, disappointing of the year. Like, I have so much to do, guys, and I'm just really, really excited. Anyway, again, subscribe to my channel, and as always, may the Force be with you. Always.